All right. Councillors, welcome back to council meeting. And Councillor Granger, it's good to see you back in our midst. Councillor Burton, we'll see you on Zoom. And we appreciate having our media there, and we have our auditor there. So we will call this meeting to order and do a land acknowledgement for this council meeting on the 29th of April 2025. So the Town of Cardston acknowledges that we are located on traditional Blackfoot Confederacy territory. Is there any addition to the agenda? If not, we need a motion to adopt it. Councillor Granger?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented for the 29th day of April 2025.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Well, as I said, we have a delegation, and we will ask you to come forward and present that for Mercer Wilde.
It's not Patrick.
No,
Yeah.
it's Sean Cook.
That, I answer to a lot of things, truthfully.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad you're flexible.
Yes. Well, thank you. Glad to join with you here today at the end of April.
Already.
And at the end of the audit process. At the beginning, I just want to share appreciation for the management team that you have. I'll go over a little bit about how we kind of work together ultimately to get the end result, as it kind of shows in our audit report. But whenever we're able to work with a management team that gives us the information that we need, answers the questions that we have, and just work together, it usually makes our audit go well. So that happened again for us with your management team, and we appreciate their efforts.
Thank you.
So I'm here to kind of go over a little bit about the audit process for the year. I've also been asked to kind of point out a few highlights on the financial statements. Often that is done, or in the past has been done by Hawken or your management team, but I'm happy to do that a little bit this afternoon. If you want to turn to page number 2 and 3, this is our audit report. So this is what our responsibility to do our audit procedures so that we can attach our audit report to your financial statements to show that they've been audited and representative of the numbers. Just to kind of touch base, most of you are familiar with this. You've been through the audit before, but our audit opinion is in the first couple of paragraphs. So that's really what we do at the end of the audit, is prepare or provide our opinion that the following financial statements are reflective of the assets and liabilities of the town, as well as the operations, the revenue and expenses, based on all of our audit procedures. Now, as I mentioned before, we do work with management, so there is a management responsibility section of the audit report saying that management, which is kind of common sense, they're the ones working through everything all year long. So they have a responsibility to make sure their accounting systems work, that things are being done, that they keep records, and things like that. And then our responsibilities is to follow as independent auditors, our audit guidelines, requirements, to go back and make sure, based on our audit procedures, that there's sufficient backup, that the financial information is presented consistently with accounting policies. And so that's kind of how I feel we work together. So when the management team gives us everything that we're looking for, it really works out. The audit opinion for the town, again, is a clean audit opinion, that the following information is reflective of the backup and the accounting policies and everything like that. We find that your accounting system is reliable. I mean, it's from maybe a bit of an opinion side, because you can go to your accounting system and drill down and look at the individual reports and get any individual transaction detail that's available, which is what we would expect most good accounting systems to be. It's an accumulation of transactions throughout the year. Audit procedures mostly are related to verifying transactions to third-party evidence, independent invoices from suppliers or vendors, grant confirmations for grant funding, reviewing also the controls and systems, like how accounting systems are recorded. And we found that there was sufficient backup and all that we needed to, that we would be expecting to look for during the audit. Our process doesn't ever seem to be that interesting as to what we actually do. So I do like to have the opportunity to talk about the numbers a little bit. If you look at page number 4, this is the statement of financial position. So this is an accumulation of the assets and liabilities as of the year end, which is December 31st, 2024. Just to point out a few, or just to explain a little bit of what it presents, the cash and temporary investments, that's pretty straightforward. That's the cash position at the end of the year, 4.8 million, a slight increase from last year at 4.5. Trade accounts receivables, so that is either services provided by the town that is outstanding at the end of the year that is expected to be paid after year end. That has got an increase from last year. That's mostly representative of some grants that are outstanding, more so than actual regular services, which is not unusual. So often an organization will do some work at the end of the year that's going to be funded by grants, and so that receivable is recorded to match that. There's investments that also has a slight increase from the prior year. So the financial assets, or assets that are going to turn into cash or available for cash at the end of the year, is 12.7 million. The liabilities, this is the debt that is due or incurred by the town at the end of the year. Accounts payable, that's the normal bills and balances that are outstanding. A slight decrease from the prior year. Employee benefit obligations, just shown as a separate line item. That's liabilities related specifically to the wage component or future obligations for employees. Deferred income that is grants that have been received by the town that have not been spent. So they're grants that are for specific purposes, like maybe a capital grant that's been received and the actual project hasn't been spent yet, but that represents money that is available to be spent in the future. And then long-term debt, which is pretty straightforward. That's the debt outstanding at the end of the year. The non-financial assets are the ones that are as kind of there. It's not going to turn into cash anytime soon. Prepaid expenses, those are things that have been paid already, but maybe they're going to actually, under accounting terms, be expensed in the future. Inventory, land held for resale, those two items that are assets that will, when sold, be turned into cash. And then we have our biggest asset of the town, which is the tangible capital assets. So that's all the buildings, the infrastructure, equipment. That number is depreciated, so it's incurred when purchased, and then it's depreciated based on accounting policies. Whether that's actually fair market value, that's a whole side note, but you can see that the town has 51 million or 51,000 of assets at the end of the year tied up in the infrastructure, which is fairly comparable to the previous year. So the accumulated surplus is basically the difference between the assets and less the liabilities of 61,000.
61 million.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes they kind of get a little confused there. If we turn to page number 5, the bottom line is also that accumulated number. But this is the statement of operations representing how the year went based on the revenue and expenses, broken into the regular categories. Now, for the town, the largest revenue item is the user fees and sales of goods of 7 million. The following with the tax coming in, so of just over 3 million. And then there's some government transfers for operations, so that's government grants. The expenses are grouped into the different departments. So the total revenue was 12.7 million, and then the total expenses was 11.9. So the actual revenue from operations for this year is 847,000, There is actual capital grants received in the year that were spent of 1.1 million, leaving a $2 million surplus from operations for the year. The net income, now whether that's good or bad is all dependent on the strategies and objectives of the town. Generally, we like to see net income, but if you're using up a lot of those and spending it on certain programs, then periodically that will go in a deficit when it's planned. Now, the following so the 2 million goes into the 59 million, which was the surplus from last year. That's resulting in the 61 million of a surplus. And of course, if you're thinking the previous, that's not all available to be spent because 51 million is sitting in your infrastructure. And that's where that financial asset of 12 million is somewhat helpful to look at. So the remaining portion of the financial statements goes into different schedules, providing different detail. It has the notes to some of the accounting policies. But those two statements are the summaries to kind of show the financial position at the end of the year, and as well as the operations, or a resulting of the operations compared to the prior year. Are there any questions or any additional details you'd like me to go over?
Maybe I want to ask Jeff a question. Jeff, on that page 5, just to make sure that's what it is, under other, where you have government transfer for capital, we have a much larger figure than that. Is that the sewer plant, possibly?
I can speak to that, yes. So you're right, Mayor. So the Alberta Water Wastewater Program grant we knew about it. It was committed to us
Right,
in
so I
2024,
wanted-
but we didn't take
Yeah,
We didn't take any of it yet.
okay.
So you're going to see because of these large capital, you're going to see some fairly big gaps between budget and actual.
Right.
But they're based on a large project that hasn't started digging yet.
Yeah.
So we're behind on receiving those funds.
Yeah, thank you.
Follow up on that, those are good questions as far as looking at, because you're gonna be coming up on a new budget process, and you are coming up with budgets which are expectations. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, especially when you have things like grants or actual projects. So it's a good question to kind of follow up on and see.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It
Okay.
was a very good presentation, and always happy to know that everything is done in good order. And we want to thank the management team for all their good effort in our financial and keeping us afloat, very well afloat.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
really enjoy working with the town and appreciate that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I speak to a couple items, Mayor? That'd be okay?
Go ahead.
I wanted up to Mr. Cook's presentation. I will say from management's point of view, we sure appreciate their team. They're very professional. We appreciate working with them as well. I want to throw a bit of a curveball at you with regards to reserves and accumulated surplus. So I want to talk about, in the statement on page 5 that we were just looking at, I want to give some context into the excess of revenue over expenses, which is $2 million. And I want to, what's the word? I just want to give some context into that number. We spent some time last night, and actually Jill was here until quite late into the night, working on how we wanted to recommend to assign reserves, because we usually go through that same schedule at the same meeting. And tonight, what I'm presenting is we're actually not asking you to approve a December 31st, 2024 reserve listing. What we did, because we're working through a couple of these numbers, and there was a few carry forward items that we weren't as confident as we wanted to be in the numbers at the tail end of this. So how we want to approach reserves this year is we've brought it all forward in one journal entry into surplus. But then in the budget on May 13th, we're going to assign that all in the 2025 budget. So that's going to be a very temporary excess of revenue, I would say, because we're going to assign it Normally, we would have assigned it somewhere, and that number would have been similar to last year at, say, 645,000, for example. So it's extraordinarily large right now because we haven't taken anything and assigned it to reserves yet. So we're going to do it in the 2025 budget.
Okay.
So you'll be seeing that at the next meeting. We'll bring it to you. It frankly bought us a little bit of time. And I always feel bad. This is where the auditors don't like us very much, is that Hawken and Jill and I were here last night. I think you came through, Mayor, when we were here, and looking at some numbers saying, oh, we're not 100% comfortable with that. We want to look at that a little closer, but the auditor needs numbers tonight. So what do we do? And so the answer was, let's leave it all in surplus for the year, and then we're going to assign it in 2 weeks at the budget to get it where it needs to be in all the respective reserve accounts.
Go ahead,
So
Councillor
the
Granger.
2 million that shows up on the audit statement consists of reserves and unspent grant monies.
So it consists of mostly reserves, but it also consists of projects that didn't get fully completed in 2024 that are carrying forward to 2025.
So that's where that money's, unspent money.
That's right.
Okay, got it.
That's right.
Okay, yeah.
And so we'll show that clearly in the budget. But I just wanted to be clear, there's a couple of anomalies. I'll give you a small heads up. Oh, sorry, it was Councillor Burton. Go ahead and I can jump back in.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you for answering that. That was going to be my question. The related question, in that figure, does the uncertainty relate to any grant that we anticipate receiving, but it's not in our account?
No, I wouldn't say that in this case, Councillor, no.
Okay, good.
No.
Good.
At least that wasn't keeping me up in the night. Now I got to think about it for a second. No, I'm quite sure we're good there. Thank you. I just wanted to mention some of the very interesting anomalies that we'll work with you next meeting is we had a much higher than normal surplus in investment return this year, like 4
see
times
that.
the normal.
Yeah.
But the town invests in principal protected notes and bonds, which all have redemption times. And so we redeemed a whole bunch in 2024 because all of their terms came up. And so we're going to see that being lower than normal in the next couple of years because we're into new bonds, new terms, and things like that. So there was some anomalies in some of those things that were positive. Don't get me wrong. They generated tremendous cash, but we're not going to carry that number in the next 3-year operating budget. I can tell you that for sure, or we're going to be under. And so, sorry, Mayor, go ahead.
That's what you had on the revenue under investment income, where it shows we had
Correct.
budgeted 122,000, but we really had
That's right.
$483,400.
So we ended up redeeming a whole bunch of bonds.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars worth. And so there's just some anomalies, and we got working through this last night, and we thought, oh man, we want to make sure we have this right. So this I call it a tactic. We actually called Patrick, the auditor, and said, is everything cool with this? Are you good with this? And he said, for sure. And Sean and I were just talking about it, that it may even be a way to approach reserves in the future, is that you simply roll them over and then assign them in that year's budget. It's something we could look at.
Councillor Granger.
We should take this because it'll make this council look good in its last 6 months of its term.
Well, that sounds very political, and I'm not going to give you a comment, Counselor. But I just wanted to give a little bit of update on reserves, and so we will deal with them differently than normal on May 13th.
Thank you very much. All right.
So Mayor, if you're comfortable with what was presented, we're looking for a motion to approve the financial statement, but not any reserve listing
Yes.
tonight.
Okay, Councillor Kenley.
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve the 2024 audited financial statement minus or am I even saying that?
Period.
Period.
Okay, any other questions?
I did actually have a question, but it can maybe be answered after. Like, what is user fees and sales of goods?
So, yeah, good
Sorry,
question, because it's such a big number.
Yeah.
So it's utilities.
Because I always thought like our
Yeah.
biggest number was our property tax.
No,
No, okay.
utilities, yeah.
And we are unique. If you look at any other communities and if you do comparisons, the town of Cardston's user fees are much higher because of the electrical distribution system. But our costs are also much higher.
Yeah.
Because we only have a small margin on the distribution access tariff.
Okay.
But we pay literally 7 figures for that a year.
Yeah.
but then we have a 7-figure expense. So ours always look a little inflated because of electrical.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. All in favor? Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I could just get signatures for Mr.
Yes.
Cook now. So I'll have you and the deputies sign. If you could sign the top one, please.
I'm not feeling very good.
And there's a top one.
Monopoly.
Numbers are looking good.
Yeah.
Sign it.
Oh, yeah, I want to put my name on this.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the one.
Thank you.
Start my campaign right now.
Go for it.
I'm just kidding.
Ish.
Second.
Signature?
Yeah, thank you.
FYI, my signatures always look different, so.
It's
Well, I guess
okay.
as long as we're not trying to corroborate it.
Well, you know, your signature doesn't look like your closing. You're very flexible.
Okay, and I signed all those.
Okay, chameleon.
Yeah. What I'm wearing today, so. Oh, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Drive safe.
All right. All right, so on the 5, we've done A and we've done B. So we are on 5C. This was a necessity that we had to start to fix our bylaw according to what the provincial requirements are, which is that land, anything to do with land has to be public, as a public hearing. And we need to make it accessible. So Jeff is going to kind of speak to it.
I think you captured it. We did first reading, hold on here real quick. One second. Sorry, a couple of these things I'm just a little bit behind on because I was gone when this agenda was put together. But, so yeah, exactly. The MGA now requires anything under Part 17 to have the public can attend electronically is really the gist of it. So we have to make provisions for electronic attendance of the public. So Section 199 now requires that. And so you have, we've given, and Shem, sorry, we've done first reading on this, haven't we? We have, yes. So first reading's done. We have some small amendments about notice. And so we, if council's agreeable to this, we would like a motion to approve the amendments, and then you can proceed with second and third reading.
Okay. Councillor Jensen?
I make a motion to accept the amendment to the
Bylaw 1703B.
bylaw 1703B.
Thank you. All in favor? All right, so somebody feels agreeable for second reading?
I will move second reading of bylaw 1703B, council procedure bylaw amendment.
I don't think it's a 1703B amendment
That's what it says.
for the reading.
Yeah, it's
is-
okay. Yeah,
But
it's
that,
okay.
it's okay with
Yeah,
using the
1703 is the
word?
principal bylaw, so B is an amendment.
So we did a motion to approve the amendment.
Amendment.
Yes, we amended
So
the
it's the
amendment.
amendment, it's the amended
Now we're-
1703B
yes.
that we're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So do we call it the amended or how?
That's up,
Sweet mother.
it's okay with me
Okay, I
either
don't
way.
know what is legal as a terminology.
I get what you're
We-
saying.
We,
Yes.
Shem
I
will make
think
it
we
legal.
should call it the amended.
We made
1703.
amendments to a 1703, which is an amendment to 1703.
Yeah.
So,
B.
yes.
Now we have the amendment in front of us, and that's what my moving to approve.
Agreed.
Yeah, now you
So
have
I
the
said it
modified
Which you
amendment.
We have the,
Yeah, you have the amended amendment, Mayor.
Yeah, we're good.
Councillor Granger, you're perfect. Okay.
Whoa.
I tried.
Third, Councillor Brown.
No, I was getting ready to vote. I'm
Yeah.
like, ready.
Okay, all in favor? Thank
Ayes,
you.
the ayes
Okay,
have it.
let's go for the third one,
I'll
Councillor
move
Kinley.
third reading of bylaw 1703B.
Okay, thank you. All in
Amendment.
all in favor?
What are we doing
I
here?
know there's a real hesitance there, I wasn't sure.
We're done.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome.
All right. 2025 budget. Thank you. The fun part starts.
You know, this is actually going to be far quicker and less painful than you think.
Good.
Because on our utility and electrical bylaw, we have almost no changes since December. And then the ones in the tax bylaw are really like, we have our exact insurance costs in every category. We have these small little tweaks. So this in front of you actually isn't perfectly balanced, and I'm not seeking approval. We will get approval of this on the 13th of May, but I thought I'll just give you a first glance at it so you can look at it over the next couple of weeks. We'll talk about it at CCW next week as well, just so we're ready to go. But there were a few things I wanted to point out for you to consider and to chew on between now and the 13th. So I would like to start in the gray 2025 mill rate. It's the biggest one, the biggest package, and the boxes are gray. Just to note on page 1, the taxes was adjusted up by $100,000, so this is factoring in the same mill rate currently as we did the first budget on, but just increased assessment minus the Clean Communities tax abatement, plus the projected increase for the derelict properties that we're going to talk about a little later. So we were trying to capture what might be happening in each of those. You're going to see that derelict property tax come in a little bit later again, going to reserves. So I'll touch on that here in a minute. Unfortunately, you can see the dramatic increase in school requisitions. So between residential and commercial, it's almost $113,000 in 1 year. So that's not great, but we have no say in it. We're compelled.
Mayor,
Councillor Granger.
quick question, back to that taxes real property, that $100,000 number, that's just a figure right now. That's gonna get tuned up.
Yeah, it'll be down to the thousandths of a decimal place by the time we get to mill rate, yes.
Because you said that's based on using the same mill rate as the previous year.
Correct.
But we have the ability to play around with that mill
Absolutely.
rate.
Yep.
When we look at globally, what, say, the residential
Yep.
tax increase
You
is
bet.
gonna sit at.
Yeah, when we did the, when we did the original tax revenue, we didn't know our assessment changes at the time.
Now we
And so
do.
now we do. This is just saying it's gonna roughly gain us this much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Councillor Brown.
May 13th, we'll know
Yep.
to the pen. to the
Yeah, we'll get
dollar.
that tidied right up.
Okay,
bet.
thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Just a quick question, 1-07-851.
Yes.
So it's grants and other, so we have, so it says we don't know on this yet.
Yeah, this is our internal notes, as you would notice, but
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. So, but it said increased as per grant approval.
So what it's saying is the Canada Summer Jobs Grant, we don't know if we're getting it yet.
Okay.
And so we didn't get it last year. We had a really good run of getting that grant, and it helped offset for particularly historical society staff and pool staff.
Yeah,
And then we did not get it last year.
right,
So we're waiting to see.
okay.
And then the next one was the Celebrate Canada grant, which we know we have an increase on. So we got another $3,500 for that.
And did we end up having somebody step forward to do that for us this year?
I'd need to ask Erin. She was taking care of that.
She is.
And I think it's sorted.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was okay.
I just know she reached out and was asking a bunch, because I had a bunch of
Oh, okay.
the groups asking me about it, but I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure if somebody
So,
actually said
I haven't
yes.
asked since I've been back, but
Okay.
I'll check it out.
It's all good, thank you.
Councillor Jensen.
I'm just curious, with the library, are we leaving the requisition the same as it
So we
has
did
been, or are we
reduce it by,
changing that?
we reduced it by the 10,000 as per council's motion.
did.
Yes.
And we're leaving it at that then?
Yeah, that's where it sits. I'll touch on that too. Again, little miscellaneous, on page 2, and this isn't signed and sealed, but I think Counselor, my ICF committee counselors, you can speak to this. The 3 first things in red there were the new ICF number related to recreation. I believe that both parties are in agreement. We just haven't signed the document. I sent a signature page to Murray last week, and hopefully we get that signed very soon. But we seem pretty comfortable with the number. When I talked to Murray, he seems comfortable with the number. So that's an increased contribution to our recreation.
And we were comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think so. I think all parties are good.
Yeah.
We were just waiting, and now that I have the financial statement, we were waiting to have our exact amortization number in recreation. which
Yeah.
we didn't have when we had the meeting.
Correct.
And so now I can plug that in and get it to Murray and we can get it signed. Okay. I don't really have anything too exciting on the next couple of pages unless you think that WCB premiums and those kind of things are exciting.
Now, what maybe you want to talk about is under 201752,
7.5. Okay, yeah.
the policing requisition, you have a no double
Oh,
check
yeah.
amount.
I'll tell you the quick story on that one. So we got our invoice from the province
That went
and
up.
it was $775,000.
Right,
And so I quickly emailed them back, and again, now I'm just telling a story, because it doesn't end up at that much, by the way, so don't panic. So I emailed them back and I said, hey, there's been an error. We were projecting about 225, and you sent us an invoice for 775,000. And the person emailed me back later that afternoon and said, yes, based on your population, that's your new number. And I said, well, what do you think our population is? And she said, well, here's the chart, and you're at 15,990 people. And she goes, and that's an increase from your 3,700 last year. And I just said, I'm not trying to be rude, but rest assured, we didn't go up 12,000 people in 1 year. I would really ask you to look at that closely. And so she emailed me
With
back.
one housing development permit this quarter, you probably
That's
didn't.
right. So she emailed me back and said, oh, yeah, okay, I'll get back to you. And I emailed her actually yesterday, and they still don't have,
Switched up.
so there was something, they must have found a bigger issue.
Are they like including the?
I don't know if we were all off a
Reserve?
line or something, if it was just something like that.
Wow.
But we expect it to be this number. This was our number from last year, so.
They just hope some towns don't pay attention.
Councillor Brown, can we go through?
I just have a quick question because it affects something else I'm gonna ask later on. So it's right here. So go back to page number 2, just where it's recreation programs and it's got, volleyball and all the things, $700. What is that? So like men's softball league, 700.
Oh, yeah.
like-
So that's the fees they pay us for the fields.
Okay, that was what I thought it was. So
Yep.
all of that is how much they're paying us
Correct.
for use of our facilities? Thank you.
So with most of those, we, in order to try and mitigate their costs a little bit and share some risk with them, we take so much per
Yes, child.
child or
Yep.
participant.
Yeah, thank you. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, see where you're going. All right, carry on.
So again, I don't
You
have
want, Jeff?
anything, I was just gonna mention on page 4. I don't know why I checked that one, it's just insurance, but our WCB was up as a percentage, fairly significant, but that's just how those premiums are going. At the very bottom of the page, and it's really minor, we do have some money for a computer upgrade for this council room. Now that we're doing the recording of council meetings, this computer that we put in there probably 10 years ago, it really lags, so that the talking and the video don't sync up. And so we've got a quote to build a new computer for here.
Oh, good.
And so that, again, minor, but just something of interest there. I wanted to just touch on, because it comes up later in the meeting, page 6, 221204. It's just some of our bylaw municipal priorities, and the SEPTED grant program is under this one. And as you know, this is not a change. We still have the $25,000 under the SEPTED grant programs. Just for your reference, there is still just about $11,000 left there, just under 11,000. Because we've done the two projects so far, or awarded the 2 projects this year. And then you have another one in
Another
closed
one,
session tonight,
yeah.
yeah. So I just wanted to give you some idea there.
Question, were we doing that every year? Or, sorry, I mean, this is our last year, but I'm saying, did we talk about this going forward?
So,
Like, is this gonna be like a yearly thing?
so
But
we've
there is
put
money
it in the
inside
next
that.
3 years operating, but it'll be up to the,
couldn't
after the
remember.
election for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep, it's great.
Page
more the
8,
better.
just a couple of small things. Page 8, we have our recycling contract. We have the current contract in there, but we don't know with all the circular material stuff, what's gonna happen in the next 90 days. As you know, we signed a 90-day contract with them for them to kind of get things figured out. So we've left it in there because we just don't know how that's gonna play out 90 days from now. And then the other thing, we added some money. We added 12,000. If you've been out to the transfer station, the guys are trying to do a lot of work out there.
So good.
we're still having terrible behavior problems, I'll call it out there, so people just chuck their stuff everywhere and anywhere all the time, and we're getting on top of that a little bit. We're gonna have some more resources out there, but we've got new signage, we've got the new bays for the wood pile and the grass pile and all that, so.
Do you have someone that is down there?
Councillor
Oh,
Jensen.
sorry.
We have,
So it is fantastic. Like,
Yeah,
I've been out
much
there a
better.
few times, and what I can tell you is in one of my blood tribe meetings, they were trying to, they love the cards. I mean, that seems so funny. They love the dump, but they really think ours is run incredibly well, and they're mirroring ours to theirs. And so, and that was before we did all of these fabulous changes. So, yeah, it's incredible out there. If a dump can be incredible, it's incredible out there.
It's getting
Councillor
better.
Jensen.
Sorry.
Amazing.
Sorry for interrupting.
You're good. No, you're good.
Think and talk. So, anyway, does anyone go down there when people are dumping stuff at all?
Jeff, could you or Josh just go over, and I know we've done it before, but just because I wanted to include it in this conversation, the notice and heads up that all these property owners got?
Do you want to speak to that, Joshua? You'd be better suited.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. So in August of last year, initial letter was sent to everyone that stood to be affected. That letter included a copy of the draft bylaw and recommendations specific to their property, as well as pictures. And that definitely produced some results. A second letter went out in March of this year, following up with any that were still on that list. And progress has been slower, but still a few. So that's been the extent of the reaching out.
And Josh, can you also confirm in this discussion that some of the owners took action to remedy the situation, and that these are the ones that are just left that haven't started or haven't completed that process?
Yeah, at this point, I don't believe it's reasonable to assume that really anyone on this list is unaware. And yeah, there's definitely been progress either with the sale of property or acting on some of the recommendations that were made.
Thank you. I just wanted it clear that we've given lots of notice.
Yeah, exactly
We've been
right.
very clear with the apparent with the possible consequence that some property owners have complied, and we're left with the ones that haven't.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Councillor Brown.
And also, I just wanted to double check or bring up what the mayor just brought up, and that is, so their land tax is going up, but if in fact they get compliant, they then receive a percentage back, correct?
Yeah, so the policy that was recently passed allows owners to come to a meeting
Yeah.
and to show evidence that I fixed it and I'm compliant. And from that date, they're eligible to receive back any other amounts that would be owing from that date forward.
Sorry, can I just on to that? And so, let's say Jeff Shaw, horrible yard, and we're finding him all the doubles, doing all the things. He says, forget about it. I'm not interested, because he's got an attitude. And then at what point is it that we step in, we clean it up, and then throw that on their taxes? Like, at what point is that happening?
So that's a separate process altogether.
Okay,
Yeah.
Not the
Okay.
same thing.
okay, thank you. Sorry about
Councillor
that.
Kenley.
I was gonna say to that, what she just said, are we legally allowed to just go onto their property and do that kind of stuff?
Once,
I'm,
Sure.
I don't know, I just didn't,
Yeah, you are.
yeah.
There is some notice requirements under
Okay.
the MGA. So long as you follow that, the municipality can enter private property. But it's advised all over the place that if someone is pushing back, to just get RCMP support, which we can do.
okay, thanks.
Councillor Jensen, Councillor Granger.
Oh, I just want to make it clear, this is a list of everyone that you've contacted, and
Left
whether
over.
they have complied or not complied.
No, no,
The
no.
ones that have.
It's just the remaining ones.
Yeah.
That's right. And before you would get this list again, I'm scheduled to do another drive just in next week before you would set this rate, to make sure that it's as current as possible.
Councillor Granger.
My comment is that we went through a lot of time and thought in the original bylaw. We given two significant notices. I don't have any sympathy. I wonder even if doubling is enough, but we said we would go with doubling. I'm ready to vote for this right now. I'm okay with it. These people need to understand they can't do what they've been doing.
Councillor Granger.
I think I know the answer to this, but, what's the word? When you don't pay your taxes after like 1, 2, 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
So
arrears.
if these additional were, I'm just ignoring it for 3 straight years, and so it's doubled, like, or is the town entitled to that when it goes to tax sale, that additional? Yeah. Not just the original, but they, okay, cool.
But how does it fare for a business rather than a residential property? Same story?
So the banks would, or however that works, the town gets their
All
money,
right.
right? Yeah. good.
So
Cool.
the question administration asked is, do we want to create a separate mill rate for those properties that have been the most impacted? So from what I understand from the conversation is no. Am I correct in reading?
What? What?
So what you were asking, Jeff, what you were asking, you were just asking if we wanted to distinguish or soften up the
if you-
impact.
Right, right,
on
okay.
those.
Sorry, I heard that
That's-
very differently the first time, Mayor, sorry.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I intended
Yeah,
to say.
sure. No, we're on the same page. So, yeah, last time you just talked about double.
Yeah.
If you want to stay with that, then when you pass your mill rate bylaw on the 13th, there will be a subclass
Yeah,
with a mill rate in it that will accomplish this.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I don't see no appetite to decrease it.
Okay.
So, you want a
Yeah, we don't need
motion?
anything from
Because
you.
we already
You'll have to
have
pass the
said-
mill rate bylaw.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah, you'll see
Okay.
this reflected
All
in that
right.
bylaw. We'll carry forward. One thing, though, that we also wanted to ask about is, and I just need to reopen that, sorry, is on some of those properties, and let me just grab an example quickly. Some of them already have very low assessment. In fact, if you look in the non-residential, one of them's only assessed at $33,000. And so by doubling, it's a $390 hit. Do we want to, and I don't know exactly how we work,
minimum
is there a
tax.
minimum?
Yeah,
You know, is there a $500 minimum? Because maybe another $387
Right.
isn't motivational. Maybe it is. I can't speak to the financial situation of the owner.
so I know that Councillor Burton had experience in Sterling, and that put
Yes,
a
I
minimum
certainly
tax-
did.
And you had put a minimum tax in those days of $700 on a vacant piece of property, correct?
That was just anything vacant, yeah.
Close. No, so what we did
Okay,
is we
tell me
had,
again what it was.
so yes, it was significant in that people no longer sat by me in church after we did it, but I'll tell you what we did. So we put a minimum tax on both residential and on non-residential. And the reason for that was we had properties, like Jeff said, that were valued so low that any multiple didn't matter. You know, there was one property paying $12 tax a year for a vacant lot. So that doesn't reflect the amount of services that person used. You know, we had to light his block and clean the snow and all the rest of it. So that was one concept. The other concept we were trying to fix was that nobody would sell their lots, so there was no development. We had lots of people wanting to move to Sterling, and absolutely nothing was for sale, because for $24 you had 2 adjoining lots to have your horse graze, and it just wasn't worth it to sell it. And so we put a residential minimum tax on, and then we also put a non-residential. The non-residential mayor was originally higher, but we had it at 500.
Okay.
So that there was no non-residential lot that didn't attract a minimum of $500 tax based on assessment. And that proved quite effective, and maybe some vindication was when we were at the Muni conference. I bumped into one of the people who's now on Sterling Council, and he was asked to give a presentation on it, on minimum tax, because it had proved so successful. So if I went back there, I might have more people willing to sit next to me at church.
Thank you, but I remember that you had spoken about that. very
But it was
specific
effective.
item.
The bottom line is, it worked.
Okay, so, Councillor
No, go
Kelly.
ahead. I'll talk after you.
Okay, so, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So Jeff, that lowest property at 33,000, what was the assessment on that one?
About 32, hold on, I just closed it, 32,000?
387. Plus 3, it's 387 right now.
Yeah, that's the taxes, yeah, it's assessed at
387.
Oh, sorry,
$32,800, yeah.
So 387, double it up, it's about over $700.
Yeah, just over $700.
760 or so. All right, so, in,
I was just gonna say, my opinion is that we just leave it for this year.
yeah, and we'll see what happens.
What Councillor Burton had just said, it really would only affect one property that we have here, so I think we just see what happens and return to this next council, whoever that may be.
I
Thank
agree. I
you.
think this is a really good first step, and we'll probably see a lot of headway made.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
A lot of anger. You didn't contact me.
so we will put this subclass in the mill rate bylaw, and you'll have that back on the 13th.
Thank
And
you.
I just do want to mention, I mentioned it a bit before, so we did budget for that additional revenue based on these assessments, and we put that in reserves into bylaw initiatives to fund unsightly premise and other cleanup things that may come up. So we'll have some money there for our SEPTED grants or for other bylaw initiatives that we can take from this revenue that we generate.
Thank you.
So do we have to pass 2 mill rates then, correct? Is that what you're saying?
You're actually gonna have 4 this year
Yeah.
because of the subclass. Well,
Yeah.
sorry, you have a linear and you have a farm and you have a series of them, yeah. There's a number of them.
Residential, non-residential, you have
Linear, farm, and then your 2 subclasses.
your vacant and
Yeah.
your derelict.
Anyways, okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right. The donation request.
So no meeting would be complete, Mayor, without discussion of the
Without
donation policy.
Councillor Burton, we just want
I've been
you to be
saving them just so
happy.
there's one a meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
No, this is, we plan on having this donation policy on the CCW agenda next week. This one came in and if nothing else, it's just a good example when we discuss the donation policy. So the junior high, they're literally here as we speak. They've been here for a couple of weeks. We have no problem with them here. They're seeking the waiver of the space. It didn't come in on time. It didn't come in before 30 days of the activity. If I was just going with letter of the law, I would advise you to say it doesn't fit. And I know Councillor Granger and Burton are just, I know your opinion strongly on this one.
Already.
We've done this for them a couple of years in a row now. I have my own personal opinions on this, but that's not so much relevant here today. It's a good program. It's a growing program in the community. But did it fit the policy? No.
No.
It did not. I'm not
And
going to tell you it did.
this is why we are asked to have a review of that policy, because honestly, to keep on making decision with a policy that we cannot follow makes me a little bit feeling weird. Councillor Burton?
So in light of the fact that we've agreed that we're going to look at the policy, I now am comfortable supporting this.
Get out of town.
Man, I'll tell you, I'm impressed. Councillor Granger, did you get the same tune?
I'm not sure, but
Wow.
maybe I'm 50-50, but what's the point of passing bylaws if we're not gonna follow them, right?
Councillor,
So I
we're
agree, we
changing
need to
it.
look at this.
We're changing it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
already agreed.
It's
so I
going to
don't
be
wanna be the
changed.
curmudgeon in the room, so I'll support it.
Thank you.
Okay,
But
just
but
a
I think we've
question,
agreed to
refresh
look
my
at it.
memory.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You know,
We've all agreed it might need some work.
Agreed.
a lot of work.
So when is Ramona and the Res School doing their theater? When do they go in? Do they,
weekend?
do they
This
go in
weekend,
after?
Councillor, this weekend.
It's
This weekend,
I can
so,
tell you.
so the junior high is out and then the Res School comes in?
I can tell you. I have it right here. So it is.
Or are they bumping heads there, or?
No. So weekly celebration Thursday 5 March. What? Okay, so they began it March 4th.
I think it was like,
It's in
This
May,
weekend
the
or
beginning
next?
of
No,
May.
it is. Anyway, it has nothing to do. One doesn't
Okay,
affect
so
the other one.
they're not,
They're not bumping each other.
Okay,
No.
good.
All right. Okay, so
motion?
please go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion that we support the Cardston Junior High Drama Department for the waiving of the fees for the Civic Center for the drama production.
All right, and it's well understood that a new policy is coming, so we don't have to
Clearly.
carry on
Yes.
voting against our own bylaws, which
Agreed.
is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
All in favor? Thank you. So,
Yeah.
Get
See
out of
ya.
here.
Bye-bye.
okay. Let's go to the next item. That one requires a little bit of extra discussion. The Pickleball MOU. Who is going to talk about that?
Lucky guy.
I understand.
much of a discussion about
I
Well,
might,
we had asked for a revision of the conditions because we didn't feel exactly comfortable yet.
We also asked to get the view of the Parks and Rec Board.
Right. Okay. So, Joshua, take it away.
yeah, so our thanks to the Parks and Rec Committee that was able to get together last night outside of their regular schedule. There is a write-up of that discussion in your package there. I know that just got to you today, but
See that?
just really, all I would say is there's a concern on their part about setting precedent, and
Should be
ultimately, that was the reason why they don't recommend this be entered into. I'm sure Councillor Kenley could add much more detail than I.
And sorry, is that still the case? They're recommending against it?
Yes, as of last night, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Kenley.
Yeah, no, we had a good discussion last night in here. We were here longer than I expected to be, but everyone gave great input and everyone I kind of set the precedent of how council felt in that meeting, but that they wanted the Parks and Rec's opinion, and that's why we have committees, and for that reason. And it was a good discussion, and they had the same concerns about allowing this to happen, and it's almost like in an exchange of some volunteer work, but they're like making it money-wise and stuff like this, and they just don't want to set a precedent for, well, if they're gonna get it just to volunteer, where the soccer association, the Little League, they already kind of do, they gotta take care of their fields because they want them to be nice, not looking for anything in exchange. So there was that, and then again, it just, the primetime hours and it's a public facility, and they wanted it to remain open to the public, and that they do not recommend to enter into an MOU with them.
Okay, Councillor Brown, Councillor Burton.
So, that's why earlier when we were looking over the mill rate and everything, that was the question I asked, because under recreation programs, so we have men's softball league, pays the town $700. Women's softball is $500. Cardston soccer is $4,000. Minor football is $800. Little League baseball, $950. Little girl slow pitch is $250, and family softball is $100. So that brings into the town of Cardston for rental programs $7,300. And that doesn't include the pool. So that's why I asked that very question when we were looking at the budget, because, and again, when they were here, that's why I brought up the fact of, I think, I have no problem giving them court time, but I think it should be treated as,
same way as the
exactly how we do football, baseball, whatever. they're a sport and we want them to use those courts, and if they need it for their season, fantastic, but they should have to pay just like everyone else is paying, because everyone else is spraying lines, raking fields. I mean, don't get me wrong, our grounds crew is fantastic, but still, we volunteer it. When we have kids in soccer or baseball or whatever, that's just part of it. So for me personally, I'm all about signing an MOU with them. I have no problem with something, but I think we have to treat it as a sport, just like everything else, if they're expecting the amount of court time.
Councillor Burton, Councillor Granger, he was there before.
I agree with everything Councillor Brown said. I have two questions. One, and maybe Councillor Brown or somebody else could answer it, is when the Little League or the whoever it is, when they pay the way that they raise their money for their fees is often through, when the parents write the check for $150 at the start of the year for junior, that's where that money comes from, or they have a fundraiser or whatever. Is that generally how that money is raised?
So typically, let's use a round number. So let's say I'm playing soccer and the club decides to charge your kids $100. So your one child is $100. And let's say out of that $100, the town takes 50, just for round numbers. So that means the town gets X amount of dollars per child in the program, and then soccer would then take the other $50 and put it into balls and all the extras, whatever it is that they need. But the town gets a percentage. It's the same for swim club. It's the same for all of it. It's so much you have your fee, and then the town takes X amount of dollars per child. That's how it works.
Thank you. And then my second question is, when they were figuring out the rate for their season, it seems to me by memory that they had taken what an hourly rate would be and then multiplied by however many hours. And I would guess that when Councillor Brown read out those other numbers of, $400 and $500 and $700 or whatever,
Yeah.
I would guess that there's some kind of a discount in the rate if you're, if I'm renting the pool for an hour, it might cost me $600. But if it's for swim club, it's probably not that much money. There's some kind of a discount to those groups compared to our hourly or daily physical facilities use. Is that correct? Because I wonder if maybe that's why that number was so high, is because
I don't think so.
we didn't reflect a discount that typically we give to other clubs, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
Kind of a different.
I don't think so.
Sort of fun. Sorry to jump in here real quick. So, Councillor, we have, in your fees and charges policy, we follow that for all the groups.
Yes.
So we do have, although I think it's the same now, up until a few years ago, like at the rink, I'll use the rink.
Rate.
We had a rate for minor hockey and skate club that was less than like a general rent for the group. But I think they're very similar, if not the same now.
They are.
One of the things that's a little different, baseball I think about, soccer's a good one because there's like 300 and something kids. So I was never involved in too many of those negotiations, but the discussion there was, you don't know how many kids you're having per year. You don't know if you got 200 or 400 in any given year. So what if we just do so much per player, and we'll share that risk with you? Right, so if it's a difficult year for the club, we're not saying, well, now 60% of your fees has to go to the town. So we've taken that risk with the clubs over time.
Yeah.
There are some exceptions to that. Hockey and swim club would be one of them. You're paying by the hour there.
No,
So
swim
you're
club.
paying per child?
Swim
Okay.
club is per child.
Okay, so hockey and
Okay.
skate club are per hour,
Yeah.
for sure. So it's a little bit different. But it's all according to the posted fees and charges policy.
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Granger.
I can't support this MOU and I'm really glad that I pushed to have the voice of the Parks and Rec Committee sought out, and thank you, Councillor Kenley, for working with them, talking with them, and letting us know clearly how they feel for very good reasons, I think. So for three reasons, I can't support this. One, I'm not prepared to vote for something that one of our committees, or the Parks and Rec Committee in this case, is clearly against. Secondly, I agree with Councillor Brown and others in the room that for these recreation things, everybody should be treated equal. And the other concern I had right from the beginning was money talks, and there's no money changing hands, just a promise that they'll do some maintenance. So does that make it fall upon our staff to make sure they're doing the maintenance that they said they would do? So for those three reasons, I cannot support this.
Thank you. Councillor Jensen, Councillor Kenley?
So if they are not going to do the maintenance, then who does do the maintenance? Does the town do it?
Yeah,
Okay,
as we have.
Okay,
okay, and just one other thing. Is it the Cardston and Country Pickleball or Cardston and County?
No, Cardston County.
Okay, on here it says country.
it's a spelling mistake. Councillor, thank you. Councillor Kenley?
Yeah, no, again, the phrase at the end of the day in our meeting was like, you need to pay to play. Like, that was like,
Yeah.
that was kind of the phrase, was pay to play. Like, if you want exclusivity of courts, if anyone wanted exclusive of anything, like, I think you should have to be able to pay to use the facility. Another thing that was brought up again, when we got this grant, I know they believe, the association, that they did the work of it,
But
right?
they didn't, we did.
They got a signature on a piece of paper that was hard to get them in here to sign it.
Yes, absolutely.
So we need
right.
to remember that the town did this and got this facility for the public. And again, I'm on the belief that this should be just no MOU period. Another thing I can add is that Randy was with us, Randy Russell, and he had attended some meeting, I don't know where or what it was, and with a lot of other Parks and Rec, and they were kind of just in a room talking, and they brought up, the pickleball came up, and collectively, the people in there were just like the workers were just like, oh, like, we're like, pickleball, like, it's horrible, like, dealing with the people and this and that. And it just doesn't, MOUs just aren't working in other municipalities, kind of like this, and they're just a nightmare. And so it is just the recommendation again that we don't enter into anything. No, I'm talking pickleball, not with everyone.
Be clear.
Being clear about, MOUs do work, but with pickleball, it just
Yeah.
seems to be an issue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, Councillor Burton, and then I will maybe
Yeah, I just thought that, we're
make a decision.
discussing having a policy that's the same for everyone, but I just want to make it clear that we really value our pickleball people for taking a lead and,
Absolutely.
for being enthusiastic and setting up a league and, providing things for our, a lot of seniors play that. And I just want to make sure that we make it very clear that we value everything that they do, same as we do any other volunteer. And we appreciate them being part of our community.
Thank you. Now, to really wrap it up, from what I understand is there is no desire to deal with in-kind exchange, correct? No in-kind exchange, okay. So what you are looking for is a user fee the same as in other sports, correct?
Well, we have a set fee for them that they can pay
Right.
if they want to do it.
Okay. Now, the other point that I want to really make clear, because from you, Councillor Kenley, it seems to me that maybe you're not even with your committee supporting the ideas that I have set hours to use the fields. Am I hearing you right? The courts?
Again, it's your 4 days a week, and it's just been brought up that even just last year and in a couple days this year, those hours are hours that are important to, like, the public families that want to go use it without having to run into the pickleball association that has 6 of the courts taken, when it's a tax-funded facility. And
Okay.
they just don't have they don't love the idea of giving 4 days a week from 7 to 9.
Okay. Councillor Brown?
So yeah, I'm gonna push back on that. Just because we do it for everybody else, we do it for baseball, softball, soccer. They get that sweet of a honey time, And I mean, soccer, they're up there 6 days a week playing soccer during prime time. So I have no problem with giving them courts if they're willing to pay for it.
Okay, sorry. I
Is that
want
what
to
you
just, I
mean?
want to reiterate what I
Thank
just
you.
said.
Okay,
The Parks and Rec is fine giving them their time if they pay for it.
Yes,
all
okay,
right.
thank
okay.
you.
So that's what I
Just
want,
to be clear.
I wanted to make sure. Joshua want to say something, and Councillor Jensen.
Yeah.
I just had a question for Counselor Kenley.
Yeah.
Being at that meeting, at the end of the write-up that Tara did, so I just wanted to understand if it's the recommendation of the committee that no MOU of any type be entered into with this group.
That was what came out of
Okay.
it.
Yeah, just wanted that, I wanted to understand that and be clear about that, because they might come back and ask, so now I know.
Okay.
It
So,
was, that was recommended based on them not paying. Maybe if they're willing to pay, then it's a different situation, but that's just what we,
okay.
No, but you don't need it.
All right, yeah, we need to clarify for Joshua also. Councillor Jensen?
So this MOU is it just for a 1-year span and then we look at it again in a year? Or is this a forever thing? Like
it's,
personally, I'd like to look at it
1 year for
for
the
1
time
year
being.
to see how it goes.
Yeah, but right now, there is no agreement around the table to have those court use for no fees. There is no agreement regarding an exchange of, we give you labor and we don't pay fees. There's no agreement around the table on that one. So what exactly would you like coming out of that discussion? Do you want,
you can send it my way too. I don't really care. I'll talk to them.
what exactly do we want? Because here we have an MOU that council is obviously not agreeable to in the terms written. But we would be agreeable if there was not that exchange of labor for fees and if there were fees attached to it.
Yeah, so to facilitate the ongoing conversation and make it clear for this group going forward, it doesn't sound like there's any appetite to adopt as presented.
No.
But if council wants to propose amendments, and I could bring those back to them, or just say we're not interested in an MOU for this year based on what Parks is saying.
Okay, thank you. So that's a good direction for council to follow.
However, this counselor won't agree unless the Parks and Rec Committee were okay with it. I don't know how the rest of my council feels, but I think that they should go to and lobby and negotiate with the Parks and Rec Committee to get their blessing before it comes back here. Because as long as they're saying no, I'm not saying yes. At least this counselor, anyway.
So this counselor, I feel that we have heard from the rec board and their direction is that they want them to pay to play, as Counselor Kenley said. And so I think that is their direction. So for me, I think the next step is it goes back to them. This council does not support just a non-pay system. So rework, if they're looking for a new MOU, like we are trying to get into with the other sports, like aren't we, Joshua, aren't we looking at some sort of agreement with soccer and baseball, and weren't you working on something with all of them?
So Jeff Hagee is now our lead in that.
Okay.
And his approach is a bit more, if there's complications that make it wise, but not like a blanket
Okay.
for everybody.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, where necessary, we're still doing that.
But my point is, whatever we're doing with the other rec groups, thank you, then I'm all on board with doing that with the pickleballers. I don't think that we have the pickleballers come back to the rec board. I think the rec board's done. We've heard from them. Do you know what I'm saying? I think now we just move forward. If they want to have it, they play and pay.
Okay.
We don't
So,
support it.
no labor exchange for fees.
No.
We want fees as the other group, and we are agreeable to give them some time.
Yeah, if they want to,
Requested.
yeah. Yes.
They
So
pay.
if they pay,
Yep.
we give
You
them
have to keep in
time.
mind that their association charges their people fees
Yeah,
to be a part of their
right.
association.
Just like
Okay,
everybody else.
all right.
And no
So,
MOU.
so the amendment, if there was an amendment to that MOU, would be exactly those 3 points,
I guess.
right?
Well, let's see it
Is-
when it comes.
But it won't come unless we make it happen. We
So-
generate
They'll
that
come.
here.
Because they want something.
So
Councillor Brown.
So I make a recommendation that we send back the MOU to them with all the points that the mayor just made in regards to paying and playing, and wait to hear back.
Okay.
Does that work?
Does that make sense? Isn't that, we need direction, and I
Yeah.
think that's the direction.
I agree.
What was,
Yeah.
What
No
else?
offsets of labor, fees as for the other one, and time as requested.
Oh, so exclusive time.
yeah,
Yes.
exclusive time, yeah.
I mean,
Payment, yes, yeah.
Councillor Jensen.
Okay, so just help me understand, if we don't have an MOU with the other sport teams, baseball, hockey, whatever, why are we entering into an MOU with pickleballers?
No.
Why are we doing this?
Well,
They
Explain that
wanted,
to me.
they wanted an awful lot of exclusive this and exclusive that, and no fee, no payment, but I also wanted to explain that I would look after the maintenance and all that. So all that was explained in that document.
I understand that, but why do we still send them back an MOU, making them think that they're going to be under an MOU? Are we placing them under an MOU? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't
no.
make sense to
Okay.
me.
Yeah,
Can't we just say
okay.
that these 3 things, but it's not an MOU?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Councillor. Joshua may have an answer.
Yeah, so hopefully this is a clearer answer. Using MOUs is new.
Yeah.
So Parks and Recreation Department is starting to do that more with groups where necessary. So they wouldn't be an outlier. There are many different groups that receive different fees than the regular person. So maybe there is good cause to give them a discounted rate for some reason. But I just want to make sure that if they're asking for an MOU to go to council again, that council doesn't say, you know, no, we've dealt with it, we don't want to entertain an MOU for the inaugural season. But if you're open to it, then that's what I'll tell them. And it's just, you know, as long as it's fee-based.
It could be a contract. Doesn't have to be an MOU. It could just be a piece of paper where both parties sign it. You know, it doesn't have to be an MOU. They asked us to do an MOU. We're not the originator of the idea of an MOU for this. They are.
Yes.
I agree with Councillor Brown's approach. I think that's the best round.
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm saying. You want to add something, Councillor?
oh, I just want to vote on the motion.
Okay, all right, perfect.
I'm just
Councillor
gonna
Kennedy
add,
want to add
it's
something.
gonna, in my opinion, this is gonna get kiboshed and it's gonna be done.
What?
Yeah.
I'm just giving my opinion of, like, they're just gonna play, like the general public. That's just, yeah, that's my opinion of
Well,
what's gonna happen.
Okay, there is a recommendation on the table from this council, so all in favor? All right, so
Pickleball's getting up there
Hey,
to
thank
be,
you.
it has taken an awful lot of time. Okay, I see there is food, it's time to take a
I'll make
break.
a motion for a 15-minute break.
Thank you so much. All in favor? Thank you.
One sec.
Oh, yeah.
You have your midnight snack here.
I ain't way
like being on a
slower than the
cruise.
rest of you guys do. I just can't gobble like you guys.
I'm so sorry. You have a good system and I have a very poor one. Okay, we need a motion.
I make a motion to reconvene.
All in favor? Thank you. All right. Councillor, on the 7th, there is a list of reports. The committee reports, so thank you for all those who submitted some. I had a library meeting yesterday and confirmed that we are meeting in May. Councillor Kenley, remember that?
Sure do, got it on my calendar.
Okay, perfect. So that has been confirmed, Jeff, and,
May 8th, I want to say.
yeah, May 8, so 5 no, not 5 o'clock.
3:45.
Yes, correct. So that will be good. Thank you all for, or what's there? Is there anything, Councillor Burton, is there something you want to ask regarding those reports?
Well, regarding those committees, Jeff, did you get a hold of Force to see if they wanted to get going on looking at our ASP and things like that?
Yes, I did after the last meeting, and Ryan, I don't know why he's pushing back on it a bit, but he's saying, yes, we can get going, and he was gonna talk to you about it at MPC this week. Or is it next week? Yeah, the 8th.
Yeah, next
The
week,
8th, yeah. So
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that that hadn't stalled somewhere.
no, I brought it up with him right the day after our last meeting.
Okay, I appreciate it, because I'm just
Yeah.
getting a little bit nervous.
Sure.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
That is, in a committee report, there is something that I may want to touch. There's Bill 50 that is being worked on and soon will be legislation at the provincial level. That is going to affect us with all the other municipalities and their councils. If you remember, in the past, we had been asked to have a code of conduct for council put together in our guideline procedures, whatever, for council. Well, it was a bylaw, actually. This will be repealed, so you're going to be amused when you will see that we just passed it and upgraded our bylaw, and now it's going to be all repealed.
Why?
Because the province has decided that it's been misused in a sense that too many municipalities ended up by having court cases. It's costing a fortune and it's not working. And the CAOs were put in the middle of fights between councillors, and I don't want to go there, and I don't blame them. So for that reason, this is going to be repealed. Councillor?
I just have a comment with Councillor Brown with your report. I just want to make sure, I believe it said that the Blood Tribe is planning on having 2 rescues set
So,
up, animal
one.
rescues.
Yeah, they've got one set up.
They have one already,
Yep. I think it's next week.
But it's in
and they
standoff.
trained how many people again
So,
in animal control?
so they had 3 that were in training for the animal control, but the spade and neuter clinic, is that what you're talking about? The one that they're doing?
No.
Oh,
No, it sounded like
Yeah.
you had, like they had trained some,
they're in training.
People.
Yep.
and that they were finished their course and
Yep.
that they were now going to be,
At large. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're working on getting a facility in which to house animals.
That was in standoff.
fantastic.
That's
In
in
standoff.
standoff.
Well,
It's really good.
no, actually,
And they have something here, they have
they're
a dog
working in,
run.
they're working in Moses Lake to have one. They're working in Standoff and Laverne to
Yeah.
have,
And
to
they
have
have
them.
one up and running now.
I don't know that it's up and running, but they're working on one right now, the Standoff one, they're working on. And they have that big spade and neuter program that this is be their second time that they're doing, and it's like in the
Yes,
next
I-
week
I
or
know that,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And just to carry on my conversation on what the minister open forum was, there was another element. The ICF has been kind of revamped a little bit, and I was anxious to know if libraries will be part of it. No. So we shall be same old, same old. And the way the minister put it is said, you have to negotiate with your counties if you want to come to a resolution yourselves. It's not part of the ICF, but you can do it on their own goodwill. So we shall carry on our own goodwill. The CAO report, thank you, Jeff. You were very busy again. The CPO report was informative. Leo is working hard for us. Development report. Anything you want to talk about? No?
What is other permits considered? Is that like, outbuildings, like
Could be, I'm not sure.
shops? Okay.
And then you have the budget to actual for your information and reference. And that is for item 7 on this agenda. Under 8, on the question, I just want to ask question if you are aware of what happened in BC regarding the Filipino community at their annual festival. And we have an awful lot of Filipinos here in our community. I already sent my sympathy to that community, but I wondered if you were of the mind that it's not one person that died, it's 11. It's as tragic as a bus when those young hockey player died, and there's still 7 in critical conditions. And I was wondering if you want to see a media, a posting on our website, something to the effect that we are saddened by the way our Filipino community has been affected. I don't know. It's always difficult to know what is right, what is wrong in those type of situations, but it's not as if one person passed. It's affecting their community all across Canada.
My only
Councillor
comment
Kennedy?
on that is that I do want to see it. However, when you're, I guess, setting a precedence that we better not miss another one of another something happening, because if it does, it's just gonna.
It's always,
That's the problem.
that's always a risk.
So-
But, we publicly can say that as council, we are saddened
Yeah.
by the effect this tragedy has impacted our local community of Filipinos. And so maybe that's the way we kind of do it, and I feel really saddened for them. Yes.
Isn't that why our flags are down? Our flags are at half-mast, is that why? And if so, then I think that it's more than appropriate to
The courthouse.
give a message of concern.
Yeah, the provincial ones are for the Pope.
Yeah, the Pope,
Yeah, that's for a head of state.
for the Pope.
It's a head of state, it's an international head
Yeah.
of state.
Yeah.
It's a,
Which I think is interesting.
yeah, correct. All right, so we present our condolences to that whole community.
So a question, Just back to your CAO report, Jeff, on April 1st, you met with Alberta Transportation to see if they would increase the percentage of our grant from 52% to something higher for the sewage plant. Can you talk about how?
Looking at my list there, so yes and no. I did meet with Alberta Transportation, but it was, wasn't for that specifically.
Oh.
So we were working through some, we needed them to be able to tell our other grant applications that they're okay with the change of scope of the project, from an MBBR to MABR.
Oh.
And so we were meeting to work out the meetings with those other agencies to make sure they were okay with it, so.
And can you talk about the one grant we're waiting to hear on, or?
I can't yet.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
Must not.
that's fine.
soon.
And last question, how is the Main Street pre-design report coming from Associated Engineering?
So I've seen the 50% and Daryl came down, but I haven't seen anything since then.
So when are we gonna get to see something when it's more than 50%?
Well, he was just gonna tidy up some of our feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm just waiting for that.
Patience, Councillor,
Yeah,
patience.
and I'm not sure why, but yeah, he wanted to meet with Brandon on some of the utilities just to make sure we were all on the same page. I'm just waiting for the tidy up.
Right. I know you anxious, Councillor, you want it all done before you leave, I know.
Well, no, it shouldn't take this
Mayor.
long.
Okay,
I was just gonna say, if I could, when we met with Southwest about the clubhouse, that they seem like they're gonna be going here in the next month or so. From our meeting, which was about 2 weeks ago, 6 weeks, I'd probably say. So,
Awesome.
just an update there. They
okay,
seemed,
mid-May, you think?
I would hope by June
All right,
1st, something's
So
happening.
what I was wondering then, since you're bringing that up,
Or maybe I should have.
yeah, well, I'm wondering, are you going to do a ground-breaking ceremony or something? I mean, it would be appropriate. It's not exactly a small amount of money.
We can look at that, sure.
I think, I mean, it'll be maybe a way to let the community know
Be part.
and to be supportive of it all.
Yep.
Just an idea.
Get 6 shovels and paint them gold.
All right. Any questions otherwise for administration?
Nope.
No? So 9 correspondence, Tyler Gandam, Alberta municipalities. There is a desire for Alberta Muni to kind of really make sure that we know all the different meetings that are coming up. So you can look at it. Mayors and Reeves, there was something there. And then really correspondence, you looked at it.
Mayor, you wanted that Mayors and Reeves writing campaign. You wanted to see if this council was interested.
Yeah. Jeff, I don't have my packet with me, so could you maybe read the letter?
So, those of you that have it, they're embarking on a writing campaign regarding mussels and other species on boats.
Right.
And they're looking to see if towns will support the letter to the Premier on essentially saying we need to come up with what other jurisdictions are doing. It's similar to, I think Councillor Court talked about it when Waterton was here, is we see other things in other jurisdictions that seem to be effective.
Right.
And
we wanted
will the
to make
province
sure,
deploy
yeah.
these things quicker than they're currently looking at it? So that's what they're requesting. They've done a template letter, actually. If you want to support that template, I would say a motion would be appropriate to do that.
Personally, I think we should, because honestly, if towns are impacted, we are, as Councillor Burton always mentioned.
Yep.
It's affecting our business, it's affecting our residents. So I think the more we can do something about it, the better we will be.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to support that writing campaign
Regarding
initiative.
the mussel. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much.
You're about to get jumped on there, Mayor.
Yeah, I read all the packet, but honestly, today I did not bring it with me, so I do not recall word for word the letter. But I had asked Jeff to put it on the agenda, so there you go. And the other one, nothing too extraordinary. And then that's about it, unless you have something else you want to discuss right now.
I make a motion to go in closed session.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you to Temple City Stars. Thank you, Mary.
I make a motion to come out of closed session.
All in favor? Thank you. Councillor Kenley, do you want to go? Or it's Councillor Brown?
I don't want to impose.
No, run, go.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the Valley Drug Mart SEPTED application.
thank you. All in favor? Do you need the amount in there? No, okay. Councillor Burton?
Are we going to mention the two conditions?
Oh, right.
Did we vote?
Yeah, but,
So a friendly amendment, I guess,
yes, let's do a friendly amendment to it. Are you accepting it?
Yeah.
that we add two conditions to it. One that, do you want me to make it?
Sure.
Okay, one that the camera stays there mounted to the building for its useful life. And secondly, that we have unfettered access to the video.
Along with the RCMP,
Yeah.
town and RCMP.
Yep.
All in favor? Thank you. You are awesome. Go enjoy.
Seven,
And Councillor Kenley is
Motion.
adjourning us. All
Make
in
a motion.
favor?
Yep, okay, to adjourn.
She is on it today. She's got a hot date or something.
Get your popcorn pop for the hockey game.
I'm not gonna go home quite yet because my kids probably aren't asleep, so I'm gonna wait about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Senators are ahead 2-0 on a shorthanded goal,
Oh, yes.
and
I
about
meant
6
no.
minutes left in the third
Hens
period.
will be
Okay,
ringing
so-
in
so-
Toronto.
yeah.
So, are we passing the mill rate at the first?
13th.
Because that's, I'm not here.
Well, it's okay, Councillor.
Forever hold your peace.
It's okay,
I
Councillor.
can't push that one. Because we have
No,
to get tax
we
notice.
must do it.
Yeah,
Okay,
It's all
I will
three.
try and make that one.
it's all 3 readings in 1 meeting.
Okay, I'm,
Councillor, if you can't, it's okay.
I know, but it's a big one and that.
It's
guilt
okay,
is
Councillor.
real.
How can you make the meeting? By Zoom from there?
Yeah, I mean,
Imagine
that's,
the lag.